Hi everyone, how's it going? It's so good to be back and to be meeting with you. It just seems like forever. And I don't know about you, but for me, days are just running together. The calendar seems to no longer exist. I never thought that I would lose track of time like this. My mom is also struggling. When this whole quarantine thing started, she texted Pastor, "I'm being held a prisoner, help!" So then last week, she thought Easter was Maundy Thursday. Then on Good Friday, she thought it was Easter. She's just really having a hard time with time. So while visiting her on Friday, I told her she could start putting tally marks in the wall so she could keep track of how long she's been a prisoner. I thought that was pretty funny, but it's partly true. Something has happened with time. I agree with the Facebook users who have posted, "Today is Blur's Day, the 14th day of the month of April." I think that is just so true. And I bring that up because Palm Sunday came and went. Good Friday came and went. Easter now is in the past. But I forgot about Passover. You say, what? Unbelievable. Yes, it's true. Friday, my sister texts me, "Happy Passover," and I couldn't believe that I had forgotten the Lord's appointed feast. And how ironic, because I had been reading Exodus. So I want to take some time today to reflect on Passover and to remind us that just last year at this time, Burien Evangelical and Renton Park, along with our Dye brothers and sisters, celebrated the Passover together. It was a meaningful and fun celebration. In memory of our time together last year, I posted the picture of Pastor Cameron and Pastor Mike leading us in the Seder in the little intro box for this devotional. Not a picture of me this time, thank the Lord, right? So the Seder. The Seder is really a testimony or a retelling or a telling of the story of the faithfulness of God to deliver his people. Beginning with the Exodus from Egypt and then being fulfilled with Jesus, our Passover lamb, who delivers us from the bondage of sin and the power of death. Passover celebrates that the Father loves us with a passionate and powerful love. His plans for us are for good and not for evil. And as we learned last year, a Passover Seder refers to an orchestrated ceremony or liturgy with a number of distinct phases or steps. And during the Seder, we ate special foods that retold the story of the Israelites' journey from slavery to freedom, and how Yeshua, or Jesus, used the rituals of the Passover Seder to explain the deep meaning of the new covenant by revealing his sacrificial role as the Lamb of God who takes away the sins of the world. Exodus 12:24-27 reads, "You shall observe this rite of Passover as a statute for you and for your children forever. And when your children say to you, 'What do you mean by this service?' you shall say, 'It is the sacrifice of the Lord's Passover, for he passed over the houses of the people of Israel in Egypt when he struck the Egyptians.'" And Exodus 13:3 says, "Remember this day in which you came out from Egypt, out of the house of slavery, for by a strong hand the Lord brought you out from this place." Each and every person who participated in last year's feast, I'm sure, could sense that freedom in the moment. We shared in the telling of an ancient story through the experience of the Seder plate with tasting the bitterness of oppression and the sweetness of deliverance. The central question of the Passover asked for thousands of years is, how does this night differ from all other nights? The answer is always the same. We were slaves, but God redeemed us from our bondage by the blood of the Lamb. Children then ask 4 more questions, and they are all answered, every single one of them. Why on all other nights do we eat bread with leaven, but on this night we eat only unleavened bread? Question 2, why on all other nights do we eat of all kinds of herbs, but this night we eat bitter herbs? 3, why on all other nights do we not dip herbs at all, but on this night we dip them twice? And 4, why on all other nights do we eat in the normal way, but on this night we eat with special ceremony? This is a visual and sensory journey of redemption from slavery, from sadness to joy, from death to life. Now, as we look back in time, Moses, who led the Israelites out of Egypt, struggled with how things were working out. He had been called to set God's people free. He obeyed God's call, but circumstances happened that made Pharaoh increase the hardship on the Israelites. It is these circumstances that made Moses go to the Lord and say, "O Lord, why have you brought harm to this people? Why did you ever send me? Ever since I came to Pharaoh to speak in your name, he has done harm to this people, and you have not delivered your people at all." That's from Exodus 5:22 and 23. God's answer is in Exodus 6 and 7. And I want you to note what God will do. This is what it says. "I am the Lord, and I will bring you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians. And I will deliver you from slavery. I will deliver you from slavery to them, and I will redeem you with an outstretched arm and with great acts of judgment. And I will take you to be my people, and I will be your God, and you shall know that I am the Lord your God, who has brought you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians." And in the Seder celebration, this retelling of the story, these same promises are traditionally illustrated with 4 glasses of wine. The first cup, the cup of sanctification, which is, "I will bring you out from Egypt," this cup recalls how God set us apart as his treasured people. The second cup, the cup of deliverance, which is, "I will deliver you from Egyptian bondage," the cup is taken with thanksgiving for not only saving the Israelites from Egypt, but also for delivering us from our own personal bondage to the evil one by the blood of the Lamb. We are no longer regarded as slaves in the house, but rather set free and made heirs of God through Jesus Christ. The third cup, the cup of redemption, or the cup of blessing, which recalls God's promise to Israel. "I will redeem you with my power," or outstretched arm. The wine in this cup recalls the shed blood of the lamb that was applied to the doorposts in Egypt, causing the plague of death to pass over. Similarly, Jesus associated this cup with the blood he would shed on the cross, causing death to pass over those trusting in him. It is said that this is the cup that Luke tells us Jesus took up after the supper, saying, "This cup is the new covenant in my blood, which is shed for you." That's Luke 22:20. And the fourth and final cup, the final "I will" statement in Exodus 6:6, the cup of restoration, or the cup of praise, which is, "I will acquire you as my people," or it can be read, "I will take you to be my people, and I will be your God." The story of God's redemption is not ended. Jesus said that he wouldn't partake of this cup again until I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom. Matthew 26:29. We celebrate what God has done in our history and what he has done for us. But at the same time, we still await a new future. All creation still groans and longs for its final redemption. As Jesus left, he promised he would come again and restore all things. We have faith enough to believe that God will not leave the world the way it is, so we await the day in which he will again come and bring his kingdom in fullness. The fourth cup expresses, "Worthy is the Lamb who was slain to receive power and wealth and wisdom and might and honor and glory and blessing." That's Revelation 5:12. The Lord promised not only the Israelites, but to you and me, he promises today through the blood of the Lamb that he will bring you and me out from under the burdens. He will deliver you and me from slavery. He will redeem you and me, and he will take you and me to be his. The traditional conclusion of the Seder is a hope for the future expressed by the Jews throughout history. They always say, "next year in Jerusalem." We will conclude this little devotional with the same expression of hope and faith in God as we await the coming of a new Jerusalem, next year in Jerusalem, or shall we say, next year in Renton or Burien. Let's plan on celebrating the feast of the Lord next year together. Have a great day. See you guys.